Alrighty, and we are back. Thank you, everybody. I hope everyone had a great July 4th weekend. It was very interesting. I actually spent a little bit of time here in the United States. Anybody that knows us and knows this platform knows that is not usually my favorite time. But this weekend was very fun. Got to spend some time with family here in the States, out of Colombia for a little bit. But do want to be able to get you guys on with one of our experts. We've got our virtual relocation conference. If you guys aren't aware, go to movetravelcolombia.com. That is where you can find all the information. But the virtual relocation conference is for you. It is designed to allow you to go exactly from where you are and get connected to all of the experts that you need. Now, today we have somebody very important because when it comes to outside of your passport travel, getting the different visas, you may want to actually work with an immigration lawyer. It's actually my best recommendation. So I wanted to bring on one of our mood travel experts, Mr. Daniel Luque from Capital M Law. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you for having us today.
Yes, no worries, no worries. We want to make certain that when people are looking, whether it's moving abroad or moving specifically to Colombia, that we can connect them with the resources that they need to make their move a little bit easier. And the reason why I still feel like you now know this, Daniel, after working with so many Americans, we most of us aren't given the opportunity to travel. So moving around with the passport, understanding different entry requirements, this is probably all brand new to people. Do you see that a lot, where you're getting Americans looking to leave and they really haven't gone anywhere?
Yes, definitely that is a constant. I mean, the cultural difference and the difference is not only of language, but also the legal system and the procedures and bureaucracy and the expectations is like a steep slope, right? It's a steep slope that people often get with a lot of confusion, a lot of questions, a lot of doubts, because not only the language is different, but the legal process is different and the legal institutions, and it is very very useful to understand first, to learn a little bit about what that is, why is it important to do an immigration process, when it is important to take care of it, and what are the consequences also of it not being done in the right way. um, the immigration status of a foreigner, as in any country like Colombia, as any other Western country or any countries that we know, those are very similar. For there are special statutes for foreigners, and especially when you're planning to move and to live long term in a country, you definitely want to have your papers right and your local ID card to access to a lot of services. Yes.
No, that's really true because a lot of people look at moving abroad as if it's a blanket. You know, it's America and then there's everywhere else, and not realizing that each particular location, Colombia, maybe you're looking at Brazil or Panama, all of them have all of them have completely different nuances and different sets of bureaucracy that you have to be able to navigate through. Now, in today's society, I feel like a lot of people are DIYers. They're the do-it-yourself kind of people.
Yeah.
With advancements in technology, Chat GPT, OpenAI, things of that nature, they figure I can just put in the Chat GPT and I'll get the most up-to-date answers. And what is happening is that's not true at all because I was in that position, not necessarily looking for Chat GPT, but things change very fast. And if you aren't aware of those changes and you're acting on outdated information, um, these things can hinder your visa application, your visa process, and might just get you denied and you may have to leave. Have you seen that happen where people try to do it themselves and then they're coming back to you trying to get it all figured out?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I'm a big Chat GPT fan, by the way, but nevertheless, you understand the limitations of those tools, right? and the limitations of those tools and resources online, because you can also get video tutorials and so on, is would be the same as if I had an injury and I try to put on the treatment myself. I mean, I can sort it out up to a certain point, but when you have someone who has done it several times in the past, you start seeing some stuff that are very hard to see, even for ChatGPT, uh, because it is out of the scope of understanding the process. So mainly, we see a lot of people that are doing it themselves and are not aware on many nuances or details, such as, for example, when I get that every day. For example, this morning, a retirement visa. Um, a retirement visa has the restriction that you cannot be enrolled to the social security benefits in Colombia. You need to be using travel health insurance. So when you're applying for a renewal of a retirement visa, you need to de-enroll. So people that doing them themselves and fail to do this, they they are exposed to sanctions, right? And as such, and the legal sanctions in the Colombian migratory system can range from getting your visa rejected to a fine for overstaying your days, up to deportation and expulsion. We also we also have that.
Yeah, you guys don't realize like these visa thing is it's not as black and white as a lot of people are thinking. It's something that is a buzzword now. I think the buzzword thing is the digital nomad visa. Everybody's going to go get the digital nomad visa, and I'm going to go live my best life in my chosen location. But as a person that has been living abroad for 2.5 years and utilize the digital nomad visa, what happens when you decide? I may no longer actually really want to be a nomad, but I like where I am. And I start to see a lot of the people in the community here in Medellin that have been here for a while are running into this. They've done the digital nomad visa twice, and now they're looking at what is it that I do from here to stay in Colombia. And I bring that up is because most people with the little bit of education that we have about traveling, they're thinking a digital nomad visa is the end all be all. Once I get that, I can just keep doing that over and over again. And then, that's just my path. And I now know, and for certain that that is not the case. Can you shed some light on that?
Yes, of course, yeah. Actually, the digital nomad visa program came to Colombia on 2022 with the new visa law resolution, and it was categorized as a visitor type visa. Remember, there are visitor type visas, migrant visas, and resident visas, right? And a visitor type visa is a visa that you can apply, and they can grant it up to 2 years. Um, but it is for visitors, not for people moving here. For long-term visitors, yeah, you can stay 1 2 years under that visa category, but after that, the Colombian government expects another type of visa and say, okay, what you came to visit, but now what? Are you going to stay? Are you going um, to invest here? Are you going to exercise your profession, or are you going to work here permanently? What are you going to do? Because when you got your digital nomad visa, you told me that you were just working remotely for a short period of time without the intention of permanency. So we've seen this year a lot of rejections for those causes, for mainly two big causes that I think is very useful for people to learn this. One is the intent of permanency. Yes, the intent of permanency. You see a rejection. If people say, "Ah, yes, I love Colombia. I want to live here," on in your digital nomad visa application, boom, rejected. Why? Because this is not a visa category for permanent residency. If you're looking to live here on a permanent basis, you have to look for a migrant type of visa. Those are work related or investment related or pensions or family related. Um, Now, the second main cause of rejection that it has been recently enforced heavily is being the activities that you're performing in the country need to be categorized as of interest to the country. So what is an activity that is of interest for the country, right? Um, or people that do, for example, trading that is a regulated activity in Colombia, like financial, playing in the financial markets, that they are also getting a hard time getting their visa approved because the activities that the Colombian government is deemed as of interest. What is of interest? You can do anything from tourism, environment, sustainability, and a lot of other different areas. But for example, people who are working like I know I'm a digital nomad because I have an OnlyFans account. That's hard to justify it as if it is of interest to the country.
That is the first time I've
And we've seen cases of digital nomads.
that is interesting, but also really good information because that is, I think that's what's being fed. That the digital nomad visa is the end all be all. That's where you get. And once you, and here's the thing, it does come down as far as the requirements from a dollar amount and what certain qualifications or things you may have depending on the country. But I know for the average American that doesn't run a business, that is just looking for to to move here, may be a little, I won't say difficult after the nomad visa. It's just you have to have a little bit more liquid than I think most people in the United States are used to having. Um, I think with the housing visa, which is you just buying a house. Can you tell me what that is right now, roughly in US dollars? Because we'll get into why I brought that up.
Yeah, for investments, there are like three types of investments, but or thresholds. But for the housing is at today's exchange rate around 125,000. Yes,
125.
125.
Yeah, I bring that up is because it is very, very important. You may not be looking into Colombia, you might be looking into somewhere else. But the reason I bring a lawyer on is because what you don't know will hurt you in this scenario in regards to moving abroad. If you're not in a position where you have 120,000, and people in the United States say, well, yeah, well, I can go finance that. I got great credit.
No, no, not an option for that visa. For that visa,
Cash
it needs to be
money.
paid upfront, and it needs to be exclusively on the holder's name. That means exclusivity on the ownership means no mortgage, and that eliminates the big chunk of financial options to access to the property. Um, yeah, I mean, each that is why it's also important to get good advice on these topics because it implies asking a lot of questions that you're not aware of. Same with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is as good as the questions you ask. But if you
Exactly.
don't have the information to ask the questions, it will only take you up to a certain point. Yes.
Hmm.
For us, it's very important, like the integral legal advice, because we're more a law firm that specializes in international law, and that has a lot of different aspects, mainly starting with familiar or family environment, like you're coming with your kids, you're coming with a spouse, or you have to check for a beneficiary visa or a visa that allows to bring your children as beneficiaries. Yes, such as the digital nomad. The digital nomad is a very good program because it also allows you to bring your spouse and children as beneficiaries. And then we try to understand each client's personal circumstances. Ah, yes, and I want to move in Colombia, but I also have my girlfriend or my boyfriend lives in Argentina, so we're going to be visiting them every once in a while. So we detect or analyze what are their priorities and the risks. Yes, and we've had clients here purchasing properties, starting businesses, getting married, getting divorced, having children, having relatives pass away, and doing the succession. Because the thing is, um, almost most events of the life are regulated by the law, and it has a lot of effects. So the digital nomad visa program, it's been a great starting point for a lot of foreigners to start discovering the country, but it's not the end of the migration path or journey.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to make sure that you said it and they heard it from you, because I get people that think that they're on the platform and they're like, oh, I'm going to get the digital nomad visa and then, I'll just stay in Colombia for forever. And I'm like, that doesn't work like that. You guys, the
Until you
passport is
get,
strong.
exactly, until you get, remember that until you get the at least the resident visa or the Colombian nationality, uh, the immigration path or the immigration journey is not over yet, right? It's the same as in the US, for example, when a foreigner just gets a green card or gets a residency or a visa or a permit, the immigration path might not end there. Yes,
Hmm.
immigration until you get your US passport or your Colombian passport, that is when, okay, you're no longer a foreigner, so you don't have to worry about that. Until then, uh, or at least the resident visa. But remember that the resident visa, you can only apply for the resident visa once you have accumulated between 2 to 5 years under a migrant visa. Yes. So people, for example, who buy a house, that is not the end of the immigration journey, neither. You still have to renew it, and if you're selling that property, you have to report that, and that even may be a cause of cancellation. We've had cases of people who have bought their property and applied for their investment visa, and selling and buying another property in a time frame of 2 or 3 days, and still got to reapply for the new visa.
Yeah, there's a lot of red tape and different navigations to consider when I feel like not red tape, but more so navigations to consider when looking at the path to long-term stay in Colombia. What are some of those other ways that you've seen? I feel like maybe like the lesser known ways that there's to be able to stay considering who the person might be.
Exactly. I think one of the visa categories that remain much unexplored and unused, like a hack, is the independent professional worker visa. Okay, it's a migrant type of visa, and a lot of people don't use it because it has some limitations, but it is a migrant visa. That is meant for independent professionals or workers that are going to work in Colombia for Colombian clients or companies, not working remotely. Yes, because maybe at a certain point during their digital nomad visa stay, they found local clients or local companies that they are starting to provide their services to. But that visa category, however, implies getting the academic title recognized by the Ministry of Education. And that is a process that can take 6 to 9 months. So, for that visa category in particular, people need to start preparing it at least 6 or 9 months in advance to apply for it. Another very common one is the civil union or common law marriage. People start living together with a Colombian national. They find a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and they start living together. And they're not aware that, and they say, no, that now that we're living together, we can apply for that visa, which is also a migrant type of visa. Well, what you need to know is that you need to register that or declare that union before a notary, and that implies also bringing your birth certificate, apostille and translated, and your certificate of single status also from the U.S. And they don't know what that certificate of single status is
I've never even heard of that.
from a county clerk. Yeah, um, how and to bring those documents and then file the declaration and wait 1 year until they can apply for that visa. Yes, civil union. It's not just that I have my girlfriend Colombiana and that's it. I get the visa right away. You need to take care of a couple of things. So yeah, I mean, there are 46, 47 visa categories. Digital nomad is only one, right? For US citizens, though, I think that set would be reduced to probably around 20, because a lot of those visa categories that you see on the big list are meant for countries that are not well related to Colombia. And that is something that I think your audience or should be aware of, is that they will find a lot of resources online regarding visas, but one of the things they need to understand first is that most of that information are not only meant for US citizens. So those visa application rules, visa categories, and visa laws, they are general laws that applies also for people. We have had clients from uh, Turkmenistan, Egypt, Kenya, uh, other countries. Yes,
Hmm.
that are
I get what you're
not
saying.
specific. So yeah, that's a heads up when checking online documentation. Just ask or make sure that it applies for U.S. citizens.
Yeah, that is that's why. And because when you first started, you mentioned, the language. So you've got to put it into a translator if you're not fluent, and then you've got to infer what the translator gives you back. And it may be very generalized, but if you it wasn't laid out to you in black and white, you don't realize that this is a general thing. And isolating down to your American passport could be mean the difference between one, you getting approved,
Yeah,
to how much money you end up spending, because you might be reading something and might go get paperwork and things apostilled and that you
and it's
don't even need to
costly.
get done. Oh, it is.
It is costly. Yeah, it can take
Every time
two
I see how
grand,
much it costs for a
1,000.
paper, I'm just like, why does this cost so much? But it's a part of what that process is. And it may not be the same everywhere, but specific to Colombia, it 100% is something where I feel like it changes yearly, and it could change multiple times in a year. So anytime I'm in position to be applying for a visa, have some questions, I always go back to Daniel. So that leads me, Daniel. Have you seen anything specifically in 2025 which regards to the immigration process that is relatively unique? I think you and I uh, was first to see the 6 month digital nomad visa. And then now I'm hearing it more and more and more that people are only getting 6 months. Are you seeing any random things that in 2025 made you kind of be like, okay,
2025. Well, this week has been
just to speak?
this week has been last week was the we have had a couple of ministry changes. The Ministry of Foreign Relationships. So the visas are approved by a special group of work from the Ministry of Foreign Relationships. So when the ministry changes, of course, the team or the team that evaluates the visa gets different directives, right? One of them in the digital nomad visa, I think the biggest changes have been some people are getting requested not $1,000 but 1,300. That is more than what the law says, and people
Interesting.
have failed to meet that threshold. Yes,
Mm,
that is number one. Number two, trading is being actively prosecuted. Like if you they ask you if you're practicing trading, uh, because that will be for another visa category. Then a lot of coaches are people who had coaching activities, uh, when it's not properly justified, that is a cause. And of course the FBI criminal records, but the FBI criminal records, a lot of them can be overcome. You have to be very explicit how and why those charges happened. Yes, like be very explicit. I was at 6 p.m. on January 25 driving a car, and I had taken a couple of beers, and I got stopped by the police, and this is why the record is there. And something that definitely is causing a lot of rejection is people who have provided a fake IDs, or different names
Come
in
as yourself, please.
so
That
that,
is interesting.
yeah.
You said something that kind of perked my ears up because things are, I know it was around $1,000, but is that a part of that discretion kind of thing that I feel like Americans aren't used to? I feel like we're used to things being black and white. This is what this is, and that is what it is. This is what the price is. Where you're saying that the law for 2025, it should be around $1,050, but you are actually getting documents back that says you need to make $1,300. And
Correct. That is correct, because what the law currently says is 1,050, I think, or 1,060. But people are getting asked for more, or to show the bank statements that you're receiving 1,300 over the past 3 months. What else? No, I mean the visa process still remains fairly feasible, in terms of, mm, different than other countries. For example, for a Colombian to ask a visa in the US, it's not as straightforward. The appointments can last up to 2 years, and it's a process that takes a long time. Also, for Colombians asking a visa for other European countries such as Denmark or the UK, that can take longer, depending on the visa category. And yeah, I mean, I think what makes sense is to get informed, and do it, on a timely manner. Like, be prepared in advance. That is, you're gonna have the time. Don't leave it for the last minute. The problem is when you have overstayed all the tourist permits here 6 months, and then one week before your second extension, or your extension expires, you send a message like, okay, I need a visa. It's like, okay, yeah, in 1 week is you have to get the criminal records apostilled and translated. You need, probably, to get a certificate of incorporation of a company, and depending on the visa category, that can take, um, for 3, 4, 5 weeks. So it's not realistic for you to ask that. And if you're risking overstaying, that is a risk that you shouldn't take, if you can. Yeah. Some other people do.
like, if you want to be in that country, guess, and that's what I was going to ask you because I get a lot of people that are like, well, I'll just stay over a little bit and I'll be fine. And I'm like, if you like the country that you are considering staying over, I would not consider to stay over just because now everything is out of your hands. The moment that you stayed over, that fee, the fine can be something minuscule to something extremely large. Can
Yeah, no, the,
position
the
you.
fine is the less of the worries, because deportation and expulsion are the biggest sanction. We've seen cases of people who have, who have overstayed, and have not been allowed to re-enter the country. Uh, but especially the most serious thing is when a person overstays, and they get a fine, and they don't pay the fine, and then they get a deportation order, and they don't leave the country. So that is starts accumulating and escalating, and a tiny problem that you just maybe you just needed to submit an extension form that takes 15 minutes and costs like 20,000 $20, and you can stay 3 months more if you forget to do that, then you're risking a lot of stuff. So yeah, I mean, the process, there is a lot of information and out there right now, and it is better to double check that information. It is still a legal process, so probably it is of use to have a lawyer or an attorney, someone trained in Colombian law to assess the opinions, because normally some terms during the translation they don't mean the same in legalese as they mean in, in in common Spanish. Yes. So that's why in some cases it is worth to double check everything with a lawyer. But some other cases, I think is good that the people can also apply themselves. I think that is a positive things, and especially when when it's a straightforward application. But especially and exclusively, I will say this recommendation is for Spanish speakers, because when you don't, if you even if you understand the concepts and the process and the requirements, um, if you don't get the full detail of what you're doing, that can cause you a lot of problems. For example, digital nomads. We have a case that digital nomad applied on their own and get their visa approved. 18 months, very good. They bought a property. Yes, they bought a property and are applying for the investment visa, but they changed jobs and didn't report that. And there was a fine print saying if you switch jobs during the term of this visa, should report that. And so they are now in a situation in which they bought the property and their visa is still not being approved because they did a nomad visa themselves and they forgot about or were not aware or informed about that little rule. So um, that's important to check not only with ChatGPT but with a lawyer.
Yeah, because like most people aren't immigration experts. Most people aren't lawyers at all. And I tell people the move abroad, um, it's tough enough. You know, it's tough to get acclimated without certain connections. It's tough to get everything figured out. So the opportunity to work with a lawyer, um, I think it takes a lot of the ease and puts it into the forefront because a lot of people have, how do I get rid of all of my stuff? What am I going to do for work? My family, my friends, everything on their mind. So to become a legal expert in Colombian law, understanding the nuances and changing, it's just not my best recommendation. And you know, with everything that we bring on with the virtual relocation conference, it gives everybody the opportunity to stay where they are, log on to something similar to this and hear from experts, but not just immigration, because there are so many other details and nuances when it comes to moving to Colombia or abroad that you have to consider. Our relocation conference brings on, obviously, Daniel, he's an immigration lawyer. He handles everything that you guys need to know, even when it comes into buying properties and navigating those things, because as he mentioned, there may be some red tape or some fine print that you may not see. We also have real estate experts. They're both for people that are looking to rent apartments as well as buy properties. You'll be hand in hand working together with them as well as with Daniel to make certain that property that you're buying is set up the right way here in Colombia so you don't have to worry about these things. But maybe you're not even looking for buying property. Maybe you're looking to just bring your children and see what Colombia has to offer. So we brought on parents with children that will be able to tell you what that experience is like, as well as licensed therapists that offer coaching services for both expats as well as for expats and their children. I think that's important because Daniel, with dealing with so many Americans, Colombian culture is different. The speed of everything is different. I know you get newbies to Colombia and they're contacting you and saying, "It's not done yet, it's not done yet, it's not done yet."
Yeah, that happens a lot. That happens a lot. Yeah, I mean, the cultural differences are very very important and very big. The work culture as well, the expectations and everything is so different. But it's also, as you've said, it's an opportunity to learn. That's what part of moving abroad enriches you and makes you grow because you start to think differently and see different things from a different point of view. There are a very good things from America, from the United States, cultural values and work ethics and practices, but there are others that are not so good, and there are others that are better in Colombia.
Yeah, nah, yeah, I definitely agree. I love everything that Colombia has provided me over these last 2 years. The opportunity to enjoy myself and my life, never mind the connections that I've made with you and everybody else that has come together to be able to provide this opportunity for the people on the other end and saying, hey, we have reached back, put something together for you guys to be able to come into a room and get everything that you need to know 3.5 hours from A to Z and get you started on your next move abroad. And I appreciate you, Daniel, and Capital M Law for being a part of this initiative, being a part of the welcoming committee for the people that are moving abroad. It is definitely
You know,
grateful
they're
for it.
welcome. They're very welcome, and we also appreciate this cultural exchange a lot. And for us, it's also very fun and entertaining and enriching. So, thank you. Wanted to also do a little marketing here. We're gonna relaunch the website capitaleme.com soon on the coming weeks with a lot of information for expats on Colombian law, rental
Excellent.
agreements in English and in Spanish. So we're gonna have a lot of resources to read in the upcoming weeks. Probably, yeah, 3 or 4 weeks we will, but I'll share it to you because we're very excited.
Nah, that's going to be good. Yeah, you definitely do a great job with your website being a nice little resource for people looking without even having to contact you. That's important because it builds that trust. You're already willing to put things out there that people are looking for and need, and then they can get on the phone and have a conversation with you in their native language. So that way they feel comfortable about what they're doing and who they're working with. So, Dan, I
No,
appreciate you.
it's important for us at Capital M. You know, I work with my wife, and we have that vocation of service, and it's not only about money. It's not only like, okay, if you don't pay you don't get anything. We also try to provide to the international community so people adapt better to Colombia, to understand better the Colombian law, and to learn a lot of stuff that will make their lives easier here in Colombia. If you're renting an apartment long term, remember pre-notice 3 months in advance, okay?
Lot of different things to consider when you guys are moving. It is not America, but we are here to help get you.
Exactly.
Uh-oh, just somebody just landed in Medellin. That is awesome. Somebody in the comments just landed in Medellin. So I appreciate
Welcome.
everybody for tuning in. Definitely, please go to moodtravelcolombia.com. That's two O's in mood, two O's in Colombia. There you can fill out the information if you want to get in contact with one of our experts and find out our resources and information regarding Santa Marta, Cartagena, Medellin, the different neighborhoods. Our ebooks are there on how to move to Colombia. Got some more things coming out for you guys. Make sure you guys are tuned in, like, share, subscribe, save. Somebody needs to see this. Maybe it's not just you. Daniel, I will see you once I get back to Colombia. I appreciate you as always, my brother.
Thank you, man. Take care.
All righty. I'll talk to you soon.